Welcome back. Today we will learn about the devastating courtroom drama that's about to unfold as Kristen DiMera faces the most challenging legal battle of her tumultuous life, while Brady Black remains completely oblivious to the extraordinary maternal sacrifice happening right before his eyes. The courtroom showdown, justice or vengeance? The Salem courthouse has become ground zero for one of the most emotionally charged sentencing hearings in recent memory. Kristen DiMera, portrayed with remarkable intensity by Stacey Hayduke, finds herself standing before Judge Catherine Wesley, awaiting a sentence that could determine not just her fate, but the future of her beloved daughter Rachel. The atmosphere in the courtroom is thick with tension, as family members, legal representatives, and curious Salem residents pack the gallery to witness what many are calling the trial of the decade. What makes this particular legal proceeding so extraordinarily complex is the web of deception that Kristen has carefully constructed around her false confession. The truth remains buried deep. Rachel Black, not Kristen, was the one who pulled the trigger on E.J. DiMera in a moment of childhood trauma and confusion. However, Kristen's maternal instincts have kicked into overdrive, compelling her to orchestrate an elaborate cover-up that involves taking full responsibility for a crime she never committed. The courtroom dynamics have shifted dramatically since Kristen's shocking interruption of Johnny DiMera's trial, where she burst through the doors with a confession that sent shockwaves through the entire legal proceedings. Her dramatic entrance wasn't just theatrics, it was a calculated move by a desperate mother who recognized that her daughter's psychological well-being and freedom hung in the balance. Brady's relentless pursuit of maximum punishment. Brady Black's vindictive stance has become the talk of Salem's legal circles, as he publicly demands that Judge Wesley impose the harshest possible sentence on Kristen. His impassioned plea to give her the maximum sentence allowable by law echoes through the courthouse corridors, revealing a man consumed by years of accumulated resentment and betrayal. Brady's emotional wounds run deep, stemming from countless previous manipulations and schemes orchestrated by Kristen throughout their volatile relationship history. The irony of Brady's position becomes even more pronounced when considering the countless times Kristen has genuinely wronged him in the past: drugging incidents, embryo theft attempts, elaborate blackmail schemes, and psychological manipulation tactics that have left lasting scars on their family dynamic. Now, in perhaps the one instance where Kristen is demonstrating genuine selflessness and maternal love, Brady remains completely blind to her noble intentions. Legal experts within Salem have begun speculating about the potential sentence length, with some suggesting that Kristen could face anywhere from 15 to 25 years behind bars if Brady's wishes are granted. The prosecution has built what appears to be an airtight case around Kristen's confession, complete with motive, opportunity, and her own damning testimony. District Attorney Melinda Trask has been working overtime to ensure that every legal precedent supports a lengthy incarceration period. The hidden sacrifice, a mother's ultimate protection. What Brady fails to comprehend is the extraordinary depth of Kristen's current sacrifice, which represents a complete departure from her historically self-serving behavior patterns. Behind the scenes, Kristen has been navigating an impossibly complex situation involving child protective services, psychological evaluations, and the very real threat of losing Rachel permanently to the state system. The CPS case file that currently sits open on Rachel's behavioral issues represents a ticking time bomb that could explode at any moment. Rachel's psychological profile has become increasingly concerning to authorities, with documented incidents of severe bullying, threatening behavior toward adults, and what some child psychologists are describing as potentially dangerous antisocial tendencies. The young girl's actions leading up to the shooting, including her elaborate scheme to lure Ava Vitali to a remote location with the intention of having her eliminated, demonstrate a level of premeditation and manipulation that would typically result in immediate removal from the home environment. Dr. Marlena Evans has been working closely with Rachel, attempting to help the child process her dissociative amnesia while simultaneously protecting her from the full psychological impact of remembering her violent actions. The delicate balance between therapeutic intervention and legal protection has created an almost impossible situation for everyone involved. Marlena's professional expertise tells her that Rachel needs intensive psychological support, but her grandmother's heart knows that revelation of the truth could destroy the child's entire future. The ripple effects, Salem's reaction and future implications. The broader Salem community has been divided in their reactions to Kristen's confession and Brady's harsh stance. Chad DiMera has expressed private doubts about his sister's sudden admission of guilt, recognizing that shooting family members falls outside Kristen's typical operational patterns. His investigative instincts, honed through years of dealing with DiMera family drama, have led him to question the authenticity of Kristen's confession, though he lacks the crucial information needed to piece together the real story. Meanwhile, Sarah Horton's upcoming role in potentially uncovering the truth adds another layer of complexity to an already convoluted situation. According to insider sources, Sarah's compassionate nature and her growing bond with Rachel may inadvertently lead to the revelation that everyone has been working so desperately to conceal. The possibility that Sarah might discover Rachel's involvement and subsequently inform Brady creates a potential catalyst for explosive family confrontations in the coming weeks. The legal ramifications extend far beyond just Kristen's sentence. If the truth about Rachel's actions ever comes to light, it would create a legal earthquake that could result in perjury charges for multiple individuals, professional consequences for Dr. Evans, and potentially traumatic legal proceedings involving a minor. The house of cards that Kristen has constructed through her false confession could collapse spectacularly, leaving everyone involved to face serious legal and personal consequences. Looking forward, the price of maternal love. As Judge Wesley prepares to deliver Kristen's sentence, the weight of unspoken truths hangs heavy in the courtroom air. Kristen's willingness to sacrifice decades of her own freedom to protect Rachel from the consequences of a moment of childhood trauma represents perhaps the most genuinely heroic act of her entire character arc. Yet Brady's inability to recognize this sacrifice, combined with his active pursuit of maximum punishment, creates a tragic irony that speaks to the complex nature of their relationship dynamics. The psychological toll on Rachel herself cannot be understated. Living with the knowledge that her mother is imprisoned for her actions, while simultaneously dealing with dissociative amnesia about the shooting itself, creates an almost impossible emotional burden for a child to bear. Child psychology experts have noted that such situations often lead to additional behavioral problems, self-harm tendencies, or complete psychological breaks that require extensive long-term therapeutic intervention. The ultimate question remains: how long can this elaborate deception continue before the truth inevitably surfaces, and what will be the cost to everyone involved when that moment arrives? Kristen's sacrifice may have bought Rachel temporary protection, but the foundation built on lies and false confessions cannot sustain itself indefinitely. Brady's pursuit of vengeance against the woman who is actually protecting their daughter represents one of the most tragic misunderstandings in Days of Our Lives history, setting the stage for devastating revelations that could reshape multiple family dynamics throughout Salem. The coming weeks promise explosive developments as the carefully constructed web of protection begins to unravel, leaving viewers to wonder whether Kristen's sacrifice will ultimately prove worthwhile or if the truth's eventual emergence will destroy everything she fought so desperately to preserve. Part 2, next week. Welcome back to Days of Our Lives channel. Today we will learn about an emotional turning point in Salem that will center around JJ's birthday celebration and the tangled family drama that refuses to stay buried. What should have been a simple, joyful homecoming for Jack and Jennifer soon becomes the spark that ignites a storm of secrets, fragile reconciliations, and heartbreaking confrontations. As JJ's birthday draws near, Jack and Jennifer make plans to return home, eager to mark the occasion with family and friends. For Jack, the event is more than just a birthday party. It represents a chance to reconnect with his son after a season of misunderstandings and distance. Jennifer, ever the peacemaker, wants nothing more than to see her family under one roof, sharing laughter instead of tears. Yet as the couple prepares for their trip back to Salem, an unexpected encounter will set in motion a chain of events that could either strengthen bonds or rip them apart once more. On his way through town, Jack crosses paths with Gwen von Leuskner, played with depth and complexity by Emily O'Brien. For Jack, this chance meeting stirs conflicting emotions. Gwen has caused so much pain in the past. Her lies, her manipulations, her reckless decisions have carved deep scars into his family. And yet, Jack cannot completely ignore the blood tie between them. In his heart, he sees not just Gwen the troublemaker, but Gwen the daughter he barely knows, a woman carrying her own wounds and longing for acceptance. It is in this moment of hesitation and compassion that Jack does something unexpected. He extends an invitation. Jack asks Gwen to join the birthday gathering, a decision that leaves her stunned. Gwen's immediate reaction is disbelief, even suspicion. Why would he want her there, when she knows full well that most of the family despises her presence? Abigail's absence still lingers in memory, and many blame Gwen for the devastation that tore through their lives. To sit in a room surrounded by people who glare at her, who whisper behind her back, who wish she had never crossed their paths, this is not Gwen's idea of a celebration. But Jack's words carry weight. He assures her that while others may never forgive, he himself does not share the same hatred. He reminds her that family, however fractured, cannot be erased, and that sometimes the only path forward is through painful confrontation. Jack's attempt to soften Gwen's heart seems to resonate, at least for a moment. She considers his offer, her eyes revealing a flicker of longing, for belonging, for love, for a place at the table where she has always been treated as an outsider. This fragile step forward could have marked a new beginning for father and daughter. Imagine the scene: Gwen, tentatively arriving at the party, her shoulders tense, her eyes darting nervously as she takes in the frosty stairs. Jack, standing protectively by her side, determined to shield her from the harsh judgment of others. Jennifer, torn between supporting her husband's choice and worrying about the tension it might cause. JJ, caught off guard by the presence of a sister he has struggled to forgive. It is a powder keg waiting for a spark. And, as often happens in Salem, the spark does arrive. Just when Jack believes progress is within reach, something shifts, and everything begins to crumble. Perhaps it is an overheard comment, dripping with disdain, that reminds Gwen of her outsider status. Perhaps a painful secret resurfaces, one that Gwen herself has tried to bury. Or perhaps it is Gwen's own impulsive nature, unable to stay silent when confronted, that destroys the fragile peace Jack worked so hard to build. Whatever the trigger, the end result is heartbreak. What began as a tentative step toward healing quickly spirals into chaos, leaving Jack devastated and Gwen once again on the outside, her dreams of acceptance dashed against the rocks of mistrust. For Jennifer, it becomes another reminder of how fragile family unity can be. For JJ, it turns what should have been a joyful birthday into yet another memory clouded by conflict. This storyline, though painful, reveals something deeply human. The struggle between forgiveness and resentment, between hope for reconciliation and the bitter weight of betrayal. Gwen embodies the outsider's yearning for acceptance, while Jack represents the parent torn between loyalty to one child and compassion for another. Their dynamic is messy, unpredictable, and profoundly real, a reminder that family bonds, however strained, are never easily severed. As viewers, we are left to wonder, will Jack and Gwen ever find lasting peace, or are they doomed to repeat the same cycle of hope and heartbreak? Can Gwen prove that she deserves a second chance, or will her past sins forever define her in the eyes of the Devereaux family? And most importantly, can JJ's birthday, meant to be a symbol of celebration, ultimately serve as a catalyst for healing rather than destruction? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Salem's families rarely celebrate without conflict, and this latest chapter promises to be both riveting and heartbreaking in equal measure.